when you are willing and not afraid anymore to pay the price for freedom, don't let this white man tell you that violence is wrong. Every damn thing that he got it by being violent.
Black people who were brought to this country were stripped of their names, language, culture, religion, God, and taken totally away from the history of themselves. Here are 30 million people who don't wear their own names, they wear your names. Who don't speak their own language, they speak English, which is not their language. They never were allowed their own cultural expression of Africa. Don't you realize that when you turn a people upside down and inside out, then sell them not for a day, not for a year, but for 300 years, and deny us the human right to know, to read a book, to learn, to understand. And then after 300 years of that, you allow us into the church, but by that time you've painted Jesus white, God white, the angels white, and then all these black people have been subjected to a form of white supremacy, which produces in the reverse a black inferiority. And this is fulfilling what Jesus said, as a man thinketh, so is he. And as long as our people think the way they think, we will never be able to do what we as a people should.
Everyone, now, Louis Farrakhan, the leader of Islam in the United States of America, is calling out on all black diasporans to unite and speak one language. Now, he says that the Western system has tried to eliminate black people, and he says even they came after him, but Allah stood with him. He calls out on every black person to unite with a fellow brother or sister, to see black people have a common purpose. So let's watch this video, then have a quick discussion at the end of it.
I want to say that I'm so scared to go around the world next year, because I was never a prejudiced person until I'm listening to you. It's really scary hearing what you're saying. I'm very scared. You're not preaching.
My dear young lady, when you go out into the world, you're going to find a reality that you're going to have to deal with. Please don't live in a fantasy world created by television. There's a very real world out there.
Mr. Farrakhan, I sit here and I'm seething. The things that you're saying only divides us.
Well, what is it that he said that makes you angry?
I don't like what you say about Jews or any other people. These things that you, and when you look at us, you're not
talking about Jews. He's talking about an abasement of their religion.
Phil,
by some people.
Excuse me. What you're doing is just a moment. You have been sitting there for an hour and you've been snickering and sneering at us.
Yes.
We don't look at you that way. We're giving you the respect, the full hour to listen. You're not Martin Luther King, who brought us together. I could listen to him forever, but you're dividing us.
Well, since I have 1 minute, I really thank you for the privilege of speaking to you and with you. I would hope that we as black people would come together and form a united front to deal with the problems that confront us. And then I would hope that whites would actually begin to know more about the condition that you are totally oblivious to. The Kerner report said that most whites know nothing really about what it is like to live in the ghetto.
I would just like to say that I am terrified that even you, someone who's obviously educated, has given up hope completely. Like when you call upon us, you say white folk, you say black people, Jewish people. Why can't we come together? We obviously can come together. We just have to find a way to do it.
The desire is good, but the reality is the total opposite of your desire. And unfortunately, as a young lady, you are not in the position of power to make the decisions to make America work. May I, you know, as an audience of intelligent people, I would like to just take a moment to say to you that I really don't think you fully understand what has happened to these people that you look at as second class or inferior citizens in this nation. Black people who were brought to this country were stripped of their names, language, culture, religion, God, and taken totally away from the history of themselves. Here are 30 million people who don't wear their own names, they wear your names. Who don't speak their own language, they speak English, which is not their language. They never were allowed their own cultural expression of Africa. Don't you realize that when you turn a people upside down and inside out, then sell them not for a day, not for a year, but for 300 years and deny us the human right to know, to read a book, to learn, to understand. And then after 300 years of that, you allow us into the church, but by that time you've painted Jesus white, God white, the angels white, and then all these black people have been subjected to a form of white supremacy, which produces in the reverse a black inferiority. And this is fulfilling what Jesus said, as a man thinketh, so is he. And as long as our people think the way they think, we will never be able to do what we as a people should do to correct our condition.
Over here, please.
What I'd like to say, there was somebody over there in the audience who said that they were afraid, they were scared when they were talking about the what he was saying, you see. And what I'm saying is, the other day you asked Mandela that same question about fearing, white people fearing, you know, what will the black folks do and stuff. We should be running down the street screaming, ramping, and raving, because when you look at the statistics, who is the one dying? From the policemen, from the KKK, from the skinheads, from the black people.
We're getting be scared. It should be the people of color.
Right. Yeah. It should be us who should be scared, or y'all sitting here.
Excuse me, I was brought up in, quote, Bedford-Stuyvesant in my time. But I would like to say what scares us is I think we hear violence.
May I respond? Yeah. May I respond, please? I'm sorry.
All right. Minister Farrakhan, would you explain why it is relevant at this stage in 1990, with all that we've gone through, why it is still relevant to try and to educate or to get white people to understand the plight of black people? Shouldn't the energy be directed to us?
Right on.
If I may, my work is directly to black people. I spend 99% of my time dealing with us to help us reform our minds and spirit that we may do for ourselves. However, when you live in a society like this, and we know that in order to effect a solution to a problem between black and white, then there's going to have to be some meaningful dialogue between black and white in order to effect a solution. The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think You are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
I'm with you in that you're talking about wanting to have meaningful dialogue, and that's a problem. You know, right away, I don't know what's going to make whites happy, for Pete's sake. You know, you're talking about trying to find a solution to your problem. You're trying hard to do that, and we're tuning you right out. We're arguing with you. We're not agreeing with anything. We're not trying to give you a chance. For Pete's sake, you know, what do we want?
Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Farrakhan, there's a situation now where 1 in 4 black males are in prison or in jail or in some type of probation situation, okay? When I look around, even myself being a black reporter, okay, and they talk about racism, of a black and white person go to the job, a black person is going to get the job, I never find that out. And we're in New York City with a black mayor, and I still haven't seen it. And when I see Minister Farrakhan, not only the brothers enlighten me, but he gives me hope to not give up, not go get a pistol and stick somebody up, okay? So when I see you, not only are you the light and the hope, but I think, white America, you need to listen. And please don't harm this brother, because we love him.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. Yeah.
Getting back to what she said, what exactly do we have a problem with? Before you made a statement, you said that I think that, well, not I, you said that white people think that you're inferior to us. I don't believe that. I'm part of the youth of America. I am not prejudiced. I feel more prejudiced right now than I've ever felt. Not against black, I am not prejudiced against black people. Some of my best friends are black people. I am, what's the problem with that?
Yeah.
You let him speak, let me speak.
Yeah. You wanted to speak to this young woman?
No, I don't want to speak.
Who wants to talk to her? Yes.
No.
Yes.
What do you mean you feel more prejudice right now?
Because the way he's saying...
Because what?
What he's saying right now, I mean, I feel that you are prejudiced towards white people.
But excuse me. I think it's like he said, it might be a fear or misunderstanding that you have, because what fear has he put, or what has he actually said here today that makes you feel prejudiced?
I think that he said that we think that they're inferior. I think it's partly part of your own complex that you have to get over, because I don't feel you're inferior. I have nothing against black people.
Yes.
Let me answer her. This is the, excuse me, this is the situation. Every young white adult says, I have not done this to black people. I have not done that to black people. But your forefathers are the ones who have set us in the situation we are in. Now, what I'm saying is this. When Nat Turner stood up, you all rejected him. You killed him. When Marcus Garvey stood up, you all rejected him, enslaved him. He died a broken heart. Now, what I'm saying is this. Your fathers have put us in the condition we are in, and today you are profiting from what your forefathers have done. Now, my grandchildren are going to be raised, and your children are going to say to them, they have not done to them, because you are the ones who are going to do to my grandchildren what they're going to experience if the situation continues. Now, what I'm saying is this. When we talk about America falling, what we are saying is this. If you all want to control America, then we must have a land base that we control. You all cannot continue printing the dollar bill and then expect us to abide by your rules when you do not want to give us jobs. Therefore, I'm saying that we have now got to come into negotiations, and Minister Farrakhan is the man to listen to.
It becomes apparent more and more as we listen to each other and try to talk to each other that we don't perceive reality the same. And as we're talking about either reconciling differences or separating, it becomes clear that if two people are looking at the same thing and perceiving it so differently, then the two people are operating under a different stimulus. And so when the young lady says, I am prejudiced, to be prejudiced means to judge before the fact. After 400 years of living and experiencing, we're not prejudiced. We are looking at the reality of what we have suffered and continue to suffer.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Thank you for waiting. I'm sorry it took us a while to get you, but go ahead. I know you'll be brief.
I'm a white American born into poverty, and I overcame it. You know, the opportunities are here in America, and why can't we just start now? We hear all this violence. Why can't we just talk in a positive way and go forward instead of remembering all these things that are in the past that are negative? They were not good for blacks, not good for white people.
Yes, Minister Farrakhan commenting.
According to the State of Black America by the Urban League, if we started right now, they said, we could never close the gap to black poverty and white poverty. She said, let us start right now. Let's forget the past. Notice this. When Jewish people remember the Holocaust and want the world to remember the Holocaust. Wait. Why do you want the world to remember? Because if the world does not remember, it is likely to repeat itself. And Jewish persons who suffered from the Holocaust want the world to remember this because the world turned its back while Jews were put in ovens. I, as a black person, want my people to remember what we have suffered and what we continue to suffer so that we will say like the Jews, never again. Never again.
Okay, I've been listening in this corner right here, and I've heard a whole lot of negative things from the white people here. When you are trying to explain yourself, the white people don't want to hear you explain yourself. They drown you out. They start already trying to drown you out and talk over you. There's a certain amount of white arrogance here, and they don't want to listen to what black people are saying. They don't understand because they don't want to understand. I've heard a woman here say, go back to Africa. Somebody said, we have a black holiday. What does that mean? So what does that mean? He did not say that. He said, if we have a choice, what some of us can go and some of us can stay. But there's no understanding in here. People are just trying to talk.
To those arrogant persons. You know, when you tell us, go back, please remember where you came from. And when you want to relegate somebody to a specific place, just remember what your origin is in this world. Please, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I want you to understand that you, wherever you are on the earth, you are not a native anywhere. You came there and took it from the native people who are there. So please don't talk about going back, because if others talk to you about that, where would you go?
And when you are willing and not afraid anymore to pay the price for freedom, don't let this white man tell you that violence is wrong. Every damn thing that he got it by being violent, killing people, raping and robbing and murdering. He's doing it as we speak, and then he has the nerve to come and tell us that violence and hatred won't get it. Don't buy that. He's worthy to be hated. Worthy because of the evil that he does. God hates. I don't know why man think you're better than God when God in the Bible said he loved Jacob but he hated Esau. In the Bible he said no man can serve two masters. He'll love one and hate the other. They have made us little sheep that they can walk over and run over, but when we decide it's over, and we should make that decision, it's over, we're not taking it anymore, and we cannot pass on to another generation the legacy of our cowardice when we know the problem and won't move to erase the problem. That's our fault. We gotta change. See, one of the things that our ancient people knew, yours and mine, when it got to the point where they would be extinguished, they had to fight. Even if they lost, they had to fight. So the great warrior spirit came up out of us Same with the blacks. Same in Haiti. Same in Central and South America. The Maroons. All of those came to a position where they had to fight. In that church, where 9 of our brothers and sisters were shot down by a skunk. How in the hell are we justified in offering him love and he offers us death?
Somebody asked me the other day.
Excuse me for my passion.
That's
brother.
okay. Asked me, can you forgive him? And I looked at him, I said, no, I cannot forgive him because he knew what he was doing. He was cold and calculated, and he was just fostering the same hate.
Who asked you that question, brother? Did he look like us?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah, I know.
How in the hell? I mean, it's an insult
It
to
is
me
an insult.
that you're going to ask me, can you forgive? How long have white people been doing this kind of evil to the darker people in the earth?
Well, how long
Since
do we have
they've
to
been
continue?
here. And when we make up our mind, we're not taking it no more. Because it's better to be dead than to live under tyranny all the days of your life. This is why America separated from England. The tyranny of King George was too much for them to bear. So what did they do? They decided death is better. So it was Patrick Henry that said, give me liberty or give me death. And until we come up with that kind of mind, I'd rather be dead than to live continuously under this kind of tyranny. And when you think like that, you'll do what is necessary to move the tyrant off of you. With the help of God, we will win if we fight.
When it comes to black matters, Louis Farrakhan has consistently pointed out on the historical and ongoing injustices that are being committed against black people. Now, he has never failed to talk about this at any chance he gets to give a speech. Now, he often emphasizes on the legacy of slavery and its long-term effects and impacts to the black nation. Now, Louis Farrakhan has always addressed this. When it comes to matters about black people, Louis Farrakhan has never failed to show up. Now, he has been talking about the racial oppression that is taking place in the Western countries and the systematic racism that has been set there to see the black minority suffer in the Western countries. Now, he talks about how the systems are set to oppress black people. He once said that Obama was there and he never helped black people. He even went ahead to say Obama was the biggest puppets for the West, that he did something for the white people, that he did something for the Indians, that he did something for the Israelites, that he did something for many groups, including the Latinos. But when it came to black people, the system could not allow him to do that because he was there. He was given that so that he could safeguard the white interest. Now, when Louis Farrakhan says that this oppression must stop, and the only way this oppression will stop is by black people uniting and speaking one language, and that language of unity. Just like I've been saying, when Ibrahim Traore in Africa says that we black people, the black diasporans must unite and talk the same language, that these things have been happening a lot of times, but we have the tendency of ignoring things until they get worse. This is how black people have gotten themselves into much bigger problems, because you can see it coming, but you don't want to avoid it. That we black people can avoid all that is going on by uniting and speaking one language, but we've chosen the other part of dividing ourselves and talking different and ill about our own brothers. Now, Louis Farrakhan has been talking about the police brutality and injustices that are happening Now, we all know that we have so many people. We have so many black people who are serving life sentences in prison for mistakes that or for crimes that they didn't commit. We have so many innocent black people in jails. We have so many black people who are facing oppression, and they can't be given an attorney just because someone feels like these people should belong to prison. Now, I was watching a documentary by a certain guy who was in prison while he was 17. Now, this guy is 50 something years. He has been staying, he has been in prison for all this time. Now, after 37 years in prison, they realize now this guy is very innocent. This guy has never, he was not the actual one who engaged in this crime. That the person, the lady who said that was raped by this guy, came out and said, no, I lied 37 years ago and it has been haunting me. So we must unite. We must unite and we must talk one language because our brothers and sisters are suffering for the ignorance that we have. The ignorance of me and me alone. You don't want to think about your brother. Just because you live in the US, you have a home that you can pay your mortgages, you can pay your loans on time. You don't want to think about a brother who is suffering. Do not help him financially, but protect them from the oppression. We have the FBS, Foundational Black Americans, those who were born and raised there, those who their parents were citizens in that country. So, and we have the African Americans who are trying to move, or the African diaspora who are trying to move from Africa to look for jobs on the other side of the world. That there has been so much division between these two groups of people that foundational Black Americans have not been there to actually show direction to their brothers. And this is where you get our own brothers complaining that when they come to Africa, they get an attitude from the black people here. It's because of the narrative that is ongoing. This is why Louis Farrakhan is saying we must unite, that they tried to wipe out black people, but God stood with us. That there have been so many things that are being done to black people so that their numbers reduce, so that they might not live for long. But who is God? Now, God, Allah has been there for black people. So this is the time, black brothers, that we might want and consider to change the fate of our own selves, that we might want to save ourselves. No one is coming to save black people. Donald Trump is not going to save you. Elon Musk is not going to save you. Vance is not going to save you. Louis Farrakhan is not going to save you. He's just talking the truth so that you yourself can change. You can actually change on how you talk to your brothers, on how you relate with your brothers. That this matters a lot, because if at all we are going to stay in this division, they survive in this, that they have been using the divide and rule. You can relate that back into years, 200, 300 years, when UK was going, the Great Britain was going around the world and colonizing countries back in the 15th century. Now, they did this and they were using the divide and rule. They came to Africa. Africa was one, and they saw, no, we can't allow these people to be this way, that they are still talking the same language and they were sharing the same culture from South Africa to Tripoli, and from the other side of Angola to Ethiopia and Djibouti. So they say, no, this can't continue this way. So we must change this narrative. So they went ahead and had the Berlin Conference. They scrambled for Africa because of the mineral resources and because they saw it was hard to rule people who were united. This is still happening, that after giving us boundaries in Africa, 55 countries with 55 currencies, with more than 1,100 languages, now they still went ahead to give us presidents, to divide as much as they could do. And this is why we still live in this, that people from Zimbabwe do not associate with the people from South Africa. And this is the same thing. Black people in Texas are not talking well to their black people in New York, that those are black people in the UK are not in good terms with black people in the US. So if we really want to change the narrative, if we really want to do things a different way, Louis Farrakhan is advising us that we must unite and we must save ourselves. No one is coming to save you. Again, I repeat, no one is coming to save you. If we can't be in a position to save ourselves, no one is totally coming to save us. That they are coming after us. They are coming for the division of black people. And this is the time we black people can say no. We've seen this a lot. And we are not going to buy this anymore. That we are going to unite. And this is the time to unite, brothers and sisters. If you feel like this is something that will just come and pass, that life will be there after all this talk, you're going to receive the biggest economic inequality, because you've seen it, the economic disparities that are happening in the US, that some classes of people are meant to live on very low, like receive low wages, and they do some dirty work, and just because you belong to a certain race, just because someone feels like you should not be in that country, but we have those people who have been there for 400 years. So I'm so much in pain when I see our black brothers in so much division, that we have seen the political disparities, we've seen the education and school to prison pipeline. So many things are happening, the destruction of the black family. I was talking to a brother and he was telling me how black families have been destroyed, that mothers do not care about their sons, do not care about their children in the US, the black mothers, which is actually the opposite of whatever is happening in Africa, that they have been derived into the whiteness so much, they have been absorbed into the whiteness so much, that they give birth and leave children at the age of 13, 14. So these children turn out to crime to survive. So this must be changed. And you mothers who are watching this video, this is the time, embrace family, because it's the basic unit of the society. If you cannot embrace the family you have, there is no blessings. If you believe in Christianity and you don't take care of your children, you are going to hell, if that's it. And if you believe in Allah, Muhammad spoke about the unity of a family. So this is the time, black brothers. Let's not divide them all. Let's unite and have one language. So I'm very impressed by Louis Farrakhan, and I do say, let him age gracefully. May Allah keep him alive for the unity of black people. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. I appreciate so much. If it's your first time, consider subscribing to the channel, like, comment and share this video.